Hello again, Sarah here from Project Shiro Studios, and welcome back to AU Redesign Challenge. The drawing challenge where my patrons vote on a pop culture character, and I redesign them into a random, alternate universe version of themselves. This was a fun one, so let's get right into it. Here's the poll results for this time. Jasmine came out on top with 2 of the 4 votes. I guess my patrons just really like princesses. Alright, it's time to pick out some appropriate dice to roll a genre. Just to remind you how this works, we have 40 genres to pick from. I will be getting a D10 and a D6. D10 is the ones place, and a D6 is the tens place. A roll of 1 to 4 on the D6 will be 10 to 40 as normal. A roll of 5 will be a 0 in the tens place, and a roll of 6 means re-roll. Okay, Jasmine is blue, and she's a princess, so sparkly? Yeah, that works. Alright, let's see. Come on, zoom in. 6-3. That's a re-roll. So let's re-roll that d6 there. New roll is 23. Alright. Move over to the spreadsheet. What is a 23? Ooh, merfolk. Okay. Alright, so while a traditional My Little Mermaid merfolk would have been fun, I wanted to try and incorporate some Middle Eastern Arabian mythology that I'd never seen before. So I found 2 really cool myths that you can see here with my references on the side. I'm probably going to butcher these names, so apologies in advance, but I'll do my best. The top one is called Shamaran, and she is a queen of snakes and a very benevolent figure in this mythology. She marries a random guy that shows her kindness and knows a lot about medicine and heals people, and also dispenses justice to evil people. So I thought that was really cool, and a nice, fun, happy take on, mythology and snakes and stuff. The second one I found that you can see below Shamaran is, I believe, Upkalun or Abgal, which is kind of an appellation for wise or sage, but in some myths it refers to specifically 7 sages who were sent by the gods, and they are demigods themselves. They came out of the water to teach humanity, just like everything, culture, medicine, construction, all those cool things that we have in society. So, and that reminded me a lot of Selkies from Celtic myth. So I thought that was cool. So I started designing Jasmine with this fish skin that she could take off whenever she came out of the water. And I really liked this pose here with her, splashing out of the sea. I thought it would be an interesting way to, practice drawing water and stuff that I don't usually draw. I tried to incorporate Shamaran's crown and her scales and coloring, which you'll see a little bit later. I just really wanted her to look regal and, fancy and stuff, but also nice. I'm reminded of how I love drawing rocks for some reason. They're just so simple. Alright, now onto the tedious flats. I could probably do this a lot easier, but I am just too much of a neat freak. Talked comics too long. Oh, and you have to color under everything, otherwise, if you're doing CMYK plate printing and one of the plates is a tiny bit off, you're gonna have white bits under where the black line should be, and that's no fun. Whereas if there's color under there, it still looks a little weird, but not as weird as it would have. So I'm trying to go with the blue palettes, even in the blacks and the whites, just to give it a cohesive look. except for this crown here that I want to stand out. Now that drawing of Shamaran is probably contemporary, so I don't know how they would have colored her back in the day. But this is a color scheme that I don't use very often anyway, so I thought it was interesting. Just whitening those scales just a little bit. Now I'm putting in a shadow and lights palette just to get my lighting colors nailed down. Shading. It always goes too fast. I tried to put in a little bit extra shading for this one just to differentiate those huge swaths of color. Alright, time to paint a rock. I did this in my traditional kind of chalky painting style first. And it looks good, but you'll see how I paint the water in a second. It just doesn't really match. I think I love painting rocks more than I love drawing them. Now I think I'm redoing the water flats just a little bit just to make sure that I can select these areas separately when I want to paint them. All that information is stored on the flats layer below the layer that I'm painting on right now. And you'll see I just basically went in with like a big airbrush and just started airbrushing this. You can see there that I turn off the layer above to get to the flats below so that I can select that. And now I'm trying out a different style. I actually paused for a long time, looked at a lot of reference material, and then tried to replicate this more cel-shaded look to kind of match the cel shading that I did on Jasmine. And just did layers and layers and layers of dots and sea foam, and I think it turned out really well. There's a tiny little bit of airbrushing just underneath all of those lights and shadows. And you'll see I'm making a new rock palette just to kind of match the water palette, cel shading this rock. There we go. I probably could have blurred out that rock shading just a little bit. That's alright. And now it's just putting together the wallpaper stuff. Trying out different fonts because I have way too many. And I thought it deserved a little extra, so I made an extra little sketch of what the back of her fish form looks like, and from the side. I wanted her to have a lot of little jewels, just like, you know, on her little fins and stuff. And here we are, the finished product. Jasmine as a traditional Middle Eastern, Iranian, Bosphorus, I don't know, merfolk. It was really fun. I liked this design a lot. Thank you to everybody for watching this video. If you had fun, if it made you chuckle or gave you some inspiration, hit that like button and make sure and subscribe to me if you want to see more of this. If you want to help pick the next character for AU Redesign Challenge, you can become a patron like these wonderful folks on the screen right now. Just go to patreon.com/ProjectShiroStudios. Big shout out to my patrons. They really help me feel secure in my art and help me do what I want to do, which is draw cool, interesting characters. Thank you once again. Have a great Christmas, a great holiday season, and I will see you in the new year. Have a good day, good night, good whatever. See you next time.